2007. That's when I joined my group, Raging Asian Women Taiko Drummers. And it had a huge impact on my life. As a former musician and a retired dancer, Taiko was the best combination of the music and movement into a single activity. And the biggest impact that Taiko has had on my life is that I joined this group, Raging Asian Women, RAW. And the group is focused around Taiko performance as a vehicle to promote social justice and feminist ideas. So in getting to perform for amazing events, I also got to meet like-minded women who really focused on empowerment of women through Taiko drumming and in who and what events we advocated for. So Taiko drumming means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, and it really depends on where you live and what cultural background you are coming from. So in order to understand Taiko, it's important to have some basic knowledge of the history of where Taiko comes from. So Taiko drum originates from Japan, and before 1950s, the drum itself was used in many traditional ceremonies in the temple, in community celebrations. In 1950s, a Japanese jazz drummer, he was the first one to bring all the Taiko drums together into an ensemble format to play. And from there is the origin of Kumidaiko. Kumidaiko means ensemble Taiko playing. And from there are one or two major groups that brought Taiko drumming to the rest of the world. One of them is called Kodo. And Kodo is where a lot of young Japanese musicians went to Sado Island, and they lived communally, ran in the morning and worked out, and they tried to push their body and their spirit to be the best they could and best drummers they could be. And they toured all over the world, and this is how many of the people in the world know about Taiko drumming. Now, the other diaspora is when the Japanese immigration happened to North America, mostly to the West Coast, and they brought Taiko drumming with them. And here's where Taiko as an art form really started to become even more important as a social movement. In the 1960s and 70s, what will be considered first and second generation Japanese Americans used the Taiko drumming as a way to find their Asian identity again and to find pride in their Asian identity. And that has spread all over North America. And so Taiko drumming is also synonymous with pride in Asian culture. So what does Taiko mean to me is that it's a way for me to, even though I'm Korean American / Canadian, it's a way for me to connect with my Asian roots and also be very proud of being an immigrant to North America, as well as it being a loud voice for other social justice advocacy. Yes, it's very much like the African proverb, if you can talk, you can sing. If you can walk, you can dance. I believe that if you can hold the bachi, which is the Japanese, the drumsticks, you can play Taiko. But you have to bring yourself to it. So that what I mean by that is, it's again, that whole old Nike slogan, just do it. If you don't put yourself out there to try, then you'll never know. But if you try, yes, you can play Taiko.
Well, in grade 9, when I saw Raging Asian Women do their performance at the Welcome Back Assembly, I liked the way how they were very organized and synchronized, but also having a very loud sound. And I hadn't seen anything like that before, so it really enthralled me and made me want to sort of join in with them. And then when I first started into the club, they started us off really simply, in a very simple sort of patterns, but then once you got used to those patterns, you would just build up on them. And so it was very easy to go from very simple to very complex. And also doing this with a group of people that are really nice as well. So yeah, it's a fun experience. Well, when the club first started out, it was sort of like an extension of Raging Asian Women. So lots of students might have thought, oh, it's only for Raging Asian women. So that was sort of, at first I was sort of skeptical of joining because typical white person trying to take over other people's cultures. But then my friend she was South Asian, and so she wasn't Eastern Asian, sort of Japanese, sort of Taiko. And then, so I decided, okay, it might not be so bad. And then when I got there, it was actually a whole mixture of people. So eventually the name sort of evolved to just Harvard Taiko Club, but then at the very beginning, the title Raging Asian Women disinterested people because they might have thought it was a bit more exclusive. So, yeah, but it's felt more inclusive than it actually seems. Well, the first one was wondering if I would actually fit in, as I was saying before, but then I was able to overcome that once I realized that everyone there was a beginner at it, and so I was able to sort of grow with this group of people. And that also helped me come out of my shell a bit more, because before then I was a really quiet kid. I kind of still am, but Taiko kind of helps me bring myself out a bit more, and I'm able to, it's actually made me more comfortable with sort of sharing sort of problems that I have, and times when I've been really stressed out. It's helped me to overcome those bits where I don't want to share, but then at the same time it's better to sort of find a group of people and then sort of share what's going on and let them help me. So yeah, it was nice to be able to sort of not have to worry about other people judging me, and sort of growing with this sort of new community of people and knowing that I can trust them with how I'm feeling. But yeah, with Taiko, it's actually helped me overcome all these different obstacles.
So I first saw Taiko at the Powell Street Festival in Vancouver. It's the Japanese cultural festival that they have. I was a little kid and I just thought it was amazing, but I never really did anything about that interest until I was about, 22. I took a workshop in Vancouver with Sawagi Taiko. And so there were some of the founding members of the first ever Taiko groups in Vancouver, from Katati Taiko as well. Yeah, so it was pretty badass, and we did a workshop, and then we got to perform something. So that was back in 2008. Then I saw Raging Asian Women, perform at the Dyke March at the Pride Festival in Toronto in 2012. And I was just blown away, seeing strong, empowered Asian women performing, and banging on drums, being really loud and kiaing, and it was super inspiring. So I just Googled Taiko, Toronto, and there was a Taiko festival going on, the first ever one. So I joined and I did some workshops and met people from the States, from all over Canada, doing Taiko. And yeah, but because of my other professional obligations, I didn't really do much more of that until more recently. So I've kept a relationship with Raw. I got to perform with them, I got to sing with them, and also play some Taiko, but now I'm an apprentice with Raw. So I'm learning technique and songs, and yeah, we practice once a week right now, and hopefully we'll be performing soon, and yeah, rehearsing more in the summer. Yeah, there are subtle ones for sure, for example, how you would hold a bachi, or your bachi, which are the sticks of various sizes that you play the drums with. So, with Raw, and also with San Jose Taiko that I've seen and worked with some of their senior members, how they hold the bachi and have an elongated arm, and then have the bachi in line with the arm, so it's one long line. So it has a beautiful visual aesthetic as well, and kind of that choreography plays into how the group practices and how they need to be matching their bodies when they're playing, or how they like lift a bachi or something like that. And different groups, it's more physical. It's more about power and volume and different aspects like that. So it really just depends, like, or how one will hold their body position. If it's going to be a little bit more fluid or dance influenced, as opposed to something that is more based in a strong physicality that will help with stamina, getting through a really difficult piece, for example. Different groups play with different instruments that are associated with taiko, like small kind of cymbals, different types of drums. Some people add in other instruments like shamisen or fue, which is flute, or shakuhachi, which is this flute that goes this way. Sometimes there's singing of like the minyo style, which is the Japanese folk kind of style. Or they do collaborations like with other artists, like bringing in like jazz players or pop bands or something. So or an orchestra, like a classical orchestra. So it just really depends. Like with Nagata Shachu in town, they're a professional group, and they've done a lot of really cool collaborations with local musicians, but also musicians from Japan. Yeah, so a lot of the evolution, like I've had to research, because I just thought, Japanese Canadians did taiko, because that's what I saw in festivals and things like that. But looking into it, it's been really neat. Like a lot of the Japanese Canadian and Japanese American communities since post World War II kind of reclaimed this art form that came from their culture to find community again within their communities, because they were so heavily dispersed like after the war, and a lot of really unfortunate things that the governments did to those peoples, right? So I think they reclaimed it like for a sense of community, a sense of bonding again, like together as a people, power and fun as well, right? Because it is so much fun to like play music or do anything creative like with a group of people. So seeing that kind of rise in the 60s and 70s in North America, it was really cool to see women taking such a leadership position in leading those groups, in being like outward and extroverted, powerful and visible, because we don't really see that in a lot of Asian communities, like women being loud and proud, because taiko has always been predominantly just men doing it. In Japan, in kabuki theater, no theater, in Buddhist and Shinto temples and shrines, and even in matsuri, like in festival, you see more women like singing or dancing, or maybe playing shamisen, like that kind of stringed instrument, not so much playing the drum. So seeing that happen in North America, and predominantly now, like you see more women actually playing taiko, maybe like 60% to 40%. In Canada and North America. It's really exciting just to see like an art form evolve and be empowering for women.